Hello folks, this is a viewer watch collection for Beau, B-E-A-U, who has a French last name and lives in the Louisiana, Mississippi area, so I assume is Cajun, but I don't know. We'll have to get clarification from Beau on that. Anyways, he sent me a long email, and I'm going to just go ahead and read it, and we'll get right into it. Beau also sent me a very generous donation, which I always appreciate, Beau. Thank you very much. Hope that didn't mess up the camera so much. All right. Oh, by the way, we're listening to Nat Adderley, Don't Look Back from 1976. Jazz, a little funky-ish. The huge. All right, so here's what Beau has to say. Hello, Johnny. I got turned onto your channel a few months ago and was instantly hooked. It didn't take me long to decide I wanted to have you review my collection. I have a watch addiction similar to yours. I'm not addicted to watches. What are you talking about? And out of all the watch channels on YouTube, I can relate to your philosophies the most. So can I. I find your content very thoughtful and entertaining. I find myself checking YouTube daily, hoping you have uploaded a new video. Keep up the good work. I've tried to watch as many of your videos as I could before sending this email and feel that I have finally got to that point, at last. Well, I really appreciate that, Beau. It puts the pressure on to continue a little bit. I would like for you to do a collection review for me and just give me your general thoughts as you see fit. My collection has ballooned within the past year, and I'm contemplating selling some pieces for various reasons. I'll explain piece by piece. Ramble on, my friend. All right, so Beau starts with his background in philosophy, and then he'll go into his actual collection. So I'm going to read his little background in philosophy first, and then we'll go through the collection. And take a look at his collection as well. My lifestyle is very active. I'm a towboat capitan. I'm not sure if you spelt that. Captain or capitan is the linguistic or the lingo of the area. The towboat capitan on the Mississippi River by trade. How cool is that, by the way? It's easy for people that don't do work like that to romanticize it, but I can imagine being out on the river is really nice. I haven't really done much sailing, but every time I do, I think, wow, I could really do this. All right. And on my off time, I spend a lot of time outdoors, golf, fishing, hunting, diving, working in the yard shop. In South Louisiana, this is a way of life. Yes, it's Louisiana. Function is very important to me with my core timepieces that I wear the most, but I do get dressed up occasionally, so I have a few dressier watches. I also have several fun pieces that will probably end up being rotated through as my tastes evolve. I believe in having different watches for different occasions. My requirements for new pieces are not very strict, as my collection covers many different styles of watches. Yes, it does, Beau. Just buy what you like. At 29 years old, I feel like I have many more phases to come with the collecting addiction. I'm a large person at 6'4", 235 pounds. The moral is don't mess with Beau. So I can't really wear anything under a 38 millimeter, but I don't like the trendy gigantic watches either. I started loving watches at I hear you, but I still think that you could easily rock a 45 millimeter. I noticed your collection. It doesn't look like you have any huge watches, but whatever you're comfortable with, of course. But you're clearly the type of guy that a 45 millimeter watch does not look funny on. I started loving watches at a very young age and can remember one of my first big purchases as a child was a Timex that I bought from Walmart. I couldn't have been older than 8. I had many watches growing up, many fossils and such. Let me just make this a little larger. All right. I can even recall a counterfeit Polo watch I bought in Times Square on a trip when I was 13. Most of them were lost or just beat to hell, as I had a bad habit of taking them off whenever they got uncomfortable, mainly when I was playing video games or on the computer. I see watches as both works of art and tools, the perfect blend. In recent years, I think that's a good way of putting it. The reason we like watches, it's not just the tool, the functionality of it. And otherwise, we wouldn't be spending more than $100 or $200 on a watch, because you can get all the functionality you need from a $200 watch, really. But the craftsmanship, the art with the toolishness, and I mean, in a way, watches are like, they're a window into a past era. I know they're modernized now, but it's still an old technology. So it's interesting how we become attached to that, and how the quartz revolution didn't kill the watch, or how the iWatch, the smart watches aren't going to kill the watch either, the classic watch, that is. Anyways, in recent years, as my financial situation has allowed me to get deeper into the hobby, so I have. I've inherited some pieces that I treasure for what they were to the people that owned them before me, and I've been fortunate enough to have received some as gifts. These watches I will most likely never sell. I look forward to the future, as collecting is an adventure for me. I used to have the idea that I would never sell a watch because I like the idea of being able to look at the evolution of a collection and see that person's personal tastes evolve. I found this concept very interesting. Due to watching your videos, though, I now am excited by the thought of freeing up some cash to fund future purchases. I should be getting money from these companies. I also think about passing the watches on for someone else to appreciate and enjoy. I have certain categories of watches within my collection that I want to maintain pieces in. These categories will be underlined in the description. All right, before getting, I just want to make a comment on what you said there at the end, before getting into your collection. You know, the whole question of collection size, and like my taste. Well, this is Cannonball Adderley is really blowing his horn, but it's just very little distracting. Good stuff, though. So it's Nat Adderley, his brother. But so. I think that if I was in a financial situation where I didn't have to watch my finances, where I could just buy watches as I saw fit, I might never sell them off. I mean, there's something I'd probably have, like. Got to get this phone. Well, I'll just. Oh wait. There's something, like, there's something unhygienic about having a huge collection with no rhyme or reason to it. And I've grown to really like the idea of having a cohesive, smaller collection. But I don't think one has to do it that way. I mean, anyone watching this or who's watched my videos knows that my philosophy is really individualistic. I really believe that there's no one right way to collect, and I actually really I find it ridiculous how people talk about, well, this is the best watch, this is what you need to do, this is the next watch you should get, because it's old school thinking. It's very limited, and I want my interest, and one of the reasons I got into this was to raise the flag, so to speak, for an approach to watch collecting, which was about finding what you like and then exploring that and developing that. So the reason I'm having this little detour in terms of your collection is you said something about due to watching your videos, though, I now am excited by the thought of freeing up some cash to fund future purchases. So that, to me, that's the main reason to sell. I mean, I certainly don't think you should keep watches that you don't like or don't wear, but you know, if you can keep them, you know, and have this sprawling collection, I don't think there's anything wrong with that. But I think you may make it clear there that the reason you'd be selling these watches is to free up the cash, and that's the reason I sell too. I don't sell because I can't deal. I mean, if I had that kind of financial situation where I could just buy and buy and buy, probably what I'd do is I'd have two kind of collections within my larger collection. One would be my rotation of like 8 or less watches, and then the other would be the boxes and boxes that were sort of the history of all the watches I'd owned. And that would be kind of fun to have that, almost like a museum or a watch archive. But the rotation, I feel like always kind of gets smaller and smaller. Anyways, I'm kind of rambling in a probably non-useful way. So let's take a look at Beau's collection. I'm going to pause here so you can see his collection, all right? And then we're going to go through it. All right. Okay, so what I just showed you was one of 3 boxes that Beau has. And I'm going to show you the boxes before I read what the watches are, and then I'll pause and show you the next box. So this first box, starting on the top left, we have the Citizen Echo Drive Caliber 8700. Older dress watch, I'm definitely considering selling. And also next to that is the Acrobos XX1V, or 24 skeleton. I love skeleton watches, bought this one off eBay for a decent price, but I don't wear it anymore because it's not up to the quality that I've become accustomed to, considering selling. So that, I mean, right there, I just want to throw out there is something that I myself have felt, and it's not a snobbish thing to say that when you get used to a certain quality level, it's hard to go back. I certainly find that I'm fine with tier 3 watches, but tier 2 watches, I just notice the difference so much. Tier 3, while they're not as nice as tier 4, generally speaking, they generally don't cut corners. The bracelets are nice, clasp, good quality, that sort of thing. All right, so then after that, the third watch on the top level is the Frederick Constant Slimline Men's 40mm automatic. And Beau puts this in underlined, he says black dress watch, which is one of his categories. We'll review that at the end. And by that I assume you mean black strap, because it's a white dial. We'll only get rid of to upgrade in this category. Then we have the Seiko 7N01-5C39 vintage quartz. This is the all gold one. This was my grandfather's dress watch. I will never get rid of it. My wife wears it from time to time. Then the Fossil half skeleton ME1089. Haven't worn this watch in years. Will sell. All right, bottom row, Luminox 8800 beater. That's the category. This is the watch that I wear the most. I wear this at work most of the time, at the gym, and any time I'm doing work around my house. I can put it on, get my hands dirty, and not have to worry about damaging the watch in any way. It is extremely durable and looks great on the wrist. Have no desire to get rid of it. Great watch. And then we have the Grupo Gamma G12D. Fun watch, my most recent purchase. These are really hard to come by as they run very limited production. I love the design, and for the price, I'm very happy with the quality. So that looks to be clearly a Panerai homage. And just to be clear, it's an homage, not a replica. For those, there's been this debate about homages, blah, blah, blah. I have a limited interest in this debate, mainly because I don't care that much. I have no problem with homage watches. A replica, though, is a watch that is fake. It's pretending to be something that it's not. Whereas an homage is just, it's a copy. It's copying it, but it's not fake, right? Replicas will say Panerai Luminor on it, whereas the homage is, they're owning up to their design. Anyways, it's definitely a nice looking watch. Then we have the AV8 Flyboy pilot style fun watch. This was a birthday gift from my wife. We'll keep it for the time being. Good watch, just needs a new strap because the one it came on feels very flimsy. Seiko Bullhead Vintage 70 6138-0040. Gift from a friend. Love this watch. Put an aftermarket strap on it and I wear it often. I feel like this is the only vintage piece I own that I can wear. No plans on selling. It's definitely a very cool watch. Very vintage. Certainly dated looking, but in a cool way. Like most vintage things. Says the guy who likes jazz funk. Longines Vintage 50s. Unsure of reference number. First vintage purchase off of eBay. Like the design of it, but looks funny on my wrist because of its 35mm size. Was aware of its size at the time of purchase. I've never worn it. And I was unaware of its size at the time of purchase. I don't like the idea of having funds tied up in a watch that I can't wear. I'm considering selling. Sell it. All right, so that's the end of the 10 watches, 10 watch box, and it looks like you're gonna sell 1, 2, 3, 4, at least 4 of them. And maybe eventually the Frederick Constant if you get another one in that category, and maybe eventually the AVI Flyboy when your wife forgets that she bought it for you. Assuming that's why you're not selling it now. All right, so let's take a look at box number 2. Okay, we have No Name Japanese Quartz in the upper left corner, which is your grandfather's beater watch, will not sell. Then the Blue Dial Armatron 204686SV, grandfather's everyday wearer, will not sell. Then on the bottom row, your Victorinox Swiss Army Chronograph Classics XLS 241199. This was my first everyday watch while at home before the purchase of my Planet Ocean. Does not get much wrist time anymore, considering selling. Citizen Echo Drive Skyhawk. This was my everyday watch before the purchase of my Victorinox, considering selling. So it's interesting that in this box, although it looks like this box is part of a larger box, but those 4 watches are all watches that have some meaning to you. My guess is you don't wear your grandfather's watches, but you're not going to sell them for obvious reasons. And it seems like you're considering selling these 2, but it also seems like you have a history with them that might be worth taking into account. By the way, I had the PVD version of that Skyhawk, which I really liked. It was the Black Eagle. I ended up selling it. It had the rubber strap. I think the reason I didn't love it, I didn't love the digital readouts on the Skyhawks, but it's definitely a pretty cool watch. All right, so let's take a look at the last box. All right. Okay, so here we have the first one is the Baume & Mercier Classima Executives GMT Automatic. And Beau has this as a brown dress watch category. I assume you mean the leather strap, brown strap dress watch. This was a wedding gift for my wife. Great watch, will never sell. I must admit to really liking that, actually. I'm not a huge white dial fan. I prefer silver for light dials. But yeah, it's really an elegant piece. I think Baume & Mercier is a little underrated in a way. I mean, I do feel they're definitely a clear tier 3 brand, and I put them there with Longines, for instance. But they tend to go a little under the radar, and I always hear good things. I mean, seems like they make nice pieces. I know some people consider them dog shit, but whatever. Anyways. Steinhardt Nav B Chrono 2 Fun Pilot's Watch. Steinhardt did a great job with this watch. Looks like a IWC homage, if I'm not mistaken. Valjoux 7750 movement, found in many other high-end watches for a decent price. I'm considering selling to free up some cash because I really don't need 2 pilot-style watches. And then, of course, we have the Omega Seamaster Planet Ocean 45.5 millimeter 8500 movement. Everyday wearer while at home. I love this watch. Everything about it just works for me. Was really on the fence between this and a no-date sub before the purchase, but man, did I make the right choice. Nice. In the end, it really came down to the way each one felt on my wrist. Not to mention I fell in love with the display back. Yeah, I'm jealous. I would love to own this watch, although I would get the 42 millimeter because I am a smaller human being than you are. But yeah, it's a new classic. I mean, it really is. It's a totally gorgeous piece, and I agree with you. The case back is, I love open case backs, but it's rare that it's a huge part of my purchasing decision because you just never see it. But with the Planet Ocean, the open case back is just really, really beautiful. They really did a good job with that. Then finally, we have the Tag Heuer Monaco. Although this is just the Monaco, the Heuer, right? we'll have to take a closer look. The Steve McQueen 1999 model. Oh, I see. So this is when they remade it later on. CW2113. Fun watch, great original styling. I see this watch as an icon. We'll probably never part ways with this watch because it was purchased in Geneva on my first European trip. So yeah, definitely cool. Yep, this is the Tag Heuer version, 1999. I'm not a huge fan of square watches, but it's definitely an iconic piece. All right, so and then I also threw in that picture of his Elgin pocket watch with custom chain along with engraved pocket knife attached. Early 1900s, this was my great-grandfather's watch. I never met this man, but I know he owned a gas station in South Louisiana. I always envisioned him standing out by the pumps, checking the time on his watch. I grew up admiring this watch as it sat in a display case on my grandfather's dresser throughout my childhood. It probably was a big reason why I got into watches in the first place. When my grandfather passed a few years ago, it became mine. This is my most cherished piece as it sits on my dresser nowadays. As you can imagine, I will never sell. So that exactly is the type of piece that I've always been jealous of. For TGV at Urban Gentry has a pocket watch that he inherited. And I actually do have a pocket watch that my girlfriend gave me about 20 years ago. But it's not like this. She's an ex-girlfriend for a reason. And yeah, I mean, it's priceless that your great-grandfather had that, and then your grandfather. I don't know if it went to your father or not. Well, it looks like it passed a generation. So that's pretty cool. All right, so the future. This is what Beau says about the future. I think I am to the point of being ready to part with some of the watches. So this will be the first order of business. What watches to sell off, and I'll see how much cash I have in hand when the dust settles. Wanted pieces. This is an abbreviated list because let's be real, I don't have that kind of time. Ha. I really wanted another vintage piece that is wearable. Maybe an older Breitling Navitimer. I also have been swimming over the Tudor Heritage Chrono Blue for some time, which I think that's the same one that Mark L. just got. I pretty much made up my mind that I'll own some version of an Omega Speedmaster at some point. I tried on a Dark Side of the Moon not too long ago, but at this point I'm not ready to part with that kind of cash. I do really like the regular Man on the Moon editions. Lastly, the Steinhardt OVM, good fun watch for an affordable price. You know, I've actually considered the Steinhardt OVM as well. Although I think if I do get a Steinhardt for me, this isn't about me, I'd get the black DLC Ocean Black. Okay, pictures attached. We'll send more emails with other pictures, etc. So I see this more as, most of these collection videos are my viewers writing to me, showing me their collections, telling me what they're about, and then me passing it along so the viewers and myself can enjoy them. And I don't really see it as, I'm not doing reviews of like saying, well, this is what I think about your collection, because I don't really buy, that's just not part of my philosophy, my approach. But and you didn't ask any specific direct questions, and I think you're on the right path. I think just keep on going with what you're doing. It sounds like you're enjoying your experience of watch collecting. I'm just scanning through your pictures. I think you're going to do what I would have recommended anyways, which is trim off the fat. Trim off the, sell the watches that you're not wearing. And it's pretty clear what those are. I think you're in the 5 watch box you have, or the 10, the larger box you have quite a few, 4 or 5 that you're going to sell. And then you're going to sell probably going to sell your Citizen and your Victorinox. And yeah, so I like also you have these 3 different boxes, and I think it's a good idea to have a box of watches that you're not going to sell, but you don't wear much, like your grandfather's watches. So yeah, what else can I say that I haven't already said or that you already don't know what to do? Trim the fat, get rid of the watches that you don't. You're probably not, from what I'm looking at, if you sell the Citizen, the Acrobos, the, what's that other one there? That Fossil Half Skeleton, that Longines Vintage, which I don't know, that might be worth a little bit, I don't know. The Victorinox, the Citizen, I mean, you're not talking about a huge amount of money there. Probably you're going to end up getting enough to buy one tier 3 type watch, or at least get you part of the way to that next watch. I guess what I would think about is, it seems like you're happy with your 3. Beau gave those 3 categories that he will always have a watch in, which is the black dress watch, the brown dress watch, and the beater. And it seems like your brown dress watch is set. You're not doing anything with the Baume & Mercier. Your black dress watch, it seems like you're reasonably happy with, but it sounds like you're also going to sell it eventually. And then the beater you're totally happy with. So those you don't even have to worry about. And then you have that Seamaster Planet Ocean. And so I guess my question is, where does a new watch fit in your actual wearing rotation? If you're wearing if you're happy with the Luminox as your primary work watch, and your Planet Ocean's your home watch, and then you have a couple dress watches, where are you going to put a new watch? I mean, when are you going to wear it? In what occasions? So I think I would think in terms of that. I mean, you might want to consider selling that your current black dress watch, the Frederick Constant, in order to get a new black dress watch. I mean, that would be one logical step. It seems like you're happy with the other categories and most of your other watches. So yeah, in terms of specific wanted watches, it seems like you're thinking either a Breitling Navitimer or something similar, a Tudor Heritage Chrono Blue or something similar, although there's nothing really similar to that, or an Omega Speedmaster of some kind. The Steinhardt OVM, I would probably, that would be the last one I would get, because it doesn't seem like it would be breaking into your rotation like potentially the Breitling Navitimer or the Tudor Heritage would. Certainly a Speedmaster. So yeah, I guess I'm left with a feeling of you got a very large collection and you really need to trim it down a little bit. That's A. B is, well, where is the new watch? What place does it have in your collection? And not just your collection, but your rotation. In what cases are you going to be wearing this new watch over your Planet Ocean, or your Luminox, or your Baume & Mercier, etc.? I guess I would also be curious how attached you are to the Tag Heuer. You seem to like the idea of it more than the actuality. You didn't say a lot, but that was just, I could be totally making this up, but it seemed like the reason you said that you probably wouldn't sell it is because it was the watch you got when you went to Europe for the first time. Maybe that's enough reason for you. Doesn't sound like it's either, I mean, I think if you're going to keep a watch, it should be either a watch that you really love and you wear, or it has some sentimental value to it. Now, I think there could be a third category, that it's a collector's item, or it's an iconic piece that you like owning but not wearing that much, and maybe that's that fits in, where it fits in your collection. Anyways, I'm kind of just rambling off. I hope this was somewhat helpful, Beau. If you have any other questions, just one more thing. I love the Breitling Navitimer. I think that would be a great piece to add to your collection. I think it would look really good in your collection, that you get a lot of use out of it. And the vintage ones are really great. You know, again, but you're talking $3,000, $4,000, $5,000, $6,000 for one of those, depending upon condition. I have seen them in the $3,000 range, though. So yeah, I'm curious as to where you go next. Please keep us informed as to what you do next. I could see getting an email in 6 months where you've sold, 5, 6, 7 pieces, and you've bought one new piece. It'd be interesting to see that. So let us know. And viewers, please add your comments below. All right, later. And on my off time, I spend a lot of time outdoors, golf, fishing, hunting, diving, working in the yard shop. In South Louisiana, this is a way of life. Yes, it's Louisiana. Function is very important to me with my core timepieces that I wear the most, but I do get dressed up occasionally, so I have a few dressier watches. I also have several fun pieces that will probably end up being rotated through as my tastes evolve. I believe in having different watches for different occasions. My requirements for new pieces are not very strict, as my collection covers many different styles of watches. Yes, it does, Beau. Just buy what you like. At 29 years old, I feel like this collection as well. My lifestyle is very active. I'm a towboat captain. I'm not sure if you spelt that. Captain or capitan is the linguistic or the lingo of the area. But towboat capitan on the Mississippi River by trade. How cool is that, by the way? It's easy for people that don't do work like that to romanticize it, but I can imagine being out on the river is really nice. I haven't really done much sailing, but every time I do, I think, wow, I could really do this. All right. Oh, by the way, we're listening to Nat Adderley, Don't Look Back from 1976. Jazz, a little funky-ish. The huge. All right, so here's what Beau has to say. Hello, Johnny. I got turned onto your channel a few months ago and was instantly hooked. It didn't take me long to decide I wanted to have you review my collection. I have a watch addiction similar to yours. I'm not addicted to watches. What are you talking about? And out of all the watch channels on YouTube, I can relate to your philosophies the most. So can I. I find your content very thoughtful and entertaining. I find myself checking YouTube daily, hoping you have uploaded a new video. Keep up. Hello, folks. This is a viewer watch collection for Beau, B-E-A-U, who has a French last name and lives in the Louisiana, Mississippi area. So I assume is Cajun, but I don't know. We'll have to get clarification from Beau on that. Anyways, he sent me a long email, and I'm going to just go ahead and read it, and we'll get right into it. Beau also sent me a very generous donation, which I always appreciate, Beau. Thank you very much. Hope that didn't mess up the camera so much. All right, the good work. I've tried to watch as many of your videos as I could before sending this email and feel that I have finally got to that point at last. Well, I really appreciate that, Beau. It puts the pressure on to continue a little bit. I would like for you to do a collection review for me and just give me your general thoughts as you see fit. My collection has ballooned within the past year, and I'm contemplating selling some pieces for various reasons. I will explain piece by piece. Ramble on, my friend. All right. So Beau starts with his background in philosophy, and then he'll go into his actual collection. So I'm going to read his little background in philosophy first, and then we'll go through the collection and take a look at